Let's talk some LSU Tigers football with Mike Detillier, NFL and college analyst, WWL Radio. And, Mike, we appreciate your time today here in Arkansas on this Thursday. How are you?
I'm fine, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
We're fired up for football, Mike, because we're expecting.
Me too. I'm ready.
We're expecting a step forward for this Arkansas team this year. A step forward for the Razorbacks would be the same record that LSU was disappointed with last year. He still felt like LSU was even lucky to get those 5 wins. So what would be a step forward under Ed Orgeron in 2021?
Get to double digits. That's what's expected. You got 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen back. Got a star receiver in Keishon Butte returning. Max Johnson, it was going to be a quarterback kind of duel between him and Miles has an arm injury, and so bad luck for Miles, just, back to back. But Max is a poised guy, got the pedigree, certainly with being the son of Brad Johnson, but he gets his athletic ability from his mom, who's a really good athlete. And so won a couple games late last year and got some confidence on this football team. Guys, I'll be honest, is the best defensive line talent and depth I've seen at LSU in the past dozen years. They got talent there. They really do. Cornerbacks, if they healthy, I don't know if you'll find a better tandem. When you have Derek Stingley Jr., who's arguably best defensive player in college football. Elias Ricks was outstanding last year as a true freshman, and they got a couple young guys in Cardale Flott and McLaughlin, who has really picked it up. Big question marks is going to be at linebacker, kind of who gets the nod there. Mike Jones comes in from Clemson, and they have a walk-on, Jared Small, who's a senior walk-on, who was, he's fought them all off. His deal is, all these 4- and 5-star recruits, I've been fighting them for a while. He would be the projected starter today. Big question mark is offensive line. They were soft as cotton last year. They got pushed around and not beat, but beat up. And so that's the area I think that LSU's got to improve upon. They got to be better along the offensive line. They were not real good last year. They were terrible, to be honest.
Well, and you make a change at the offensive line coach amongst a bunch of other changes that Ed Orgeron made in his staff. And, you hit on the idea that there's a lot of talent on the LSU defense, and it's just shocking to think that a program that's had defensive success like LSU over the years gave up a program record 35 points per game last year. How much of that was put on specifically Bo Pelini, because he's gone after just 1 year?
Quite a bit of it, to be honest. That was a lack of communication. They seemed to be as lost as baby rabbits out in the field. I mean, they were just running around, and you heard it from numerous players. We just didn't know what was going on, and they wouldn't change. Bo wanted to run strictly man coverage schemes, and when you spread out for a while, you can't do it. You got to change with the times. Mm-hmm. And he became hard-headed with it. I don't know the exact number, but I visited Coach O the week before the Ole Miss game, which was the final game of the season. And he told me up to that point, they had given up 58 plays of 20 yards or more in 9 games.
Whoa, that's a lot.
That was before the 10th, before Corral got a hold of them. So, it definitely was in the 60s in watching that game. So, it was disappointing. It was a lack of communication. The other thing, too, guys, listen, I say it, you guys have been in the business long enough to see it, too. You got someone who gets a little bit of success, and some people can handle success really well, and some people can't. This team, from coach to players, they were sitting in the back of the limousine waving. They thought it was all going to be easy again, which it wasn't easy in 2019. Mm. But I think they had lost, and it's a metaphor, but they lost the eye of the tiger. And they got beat up. And they got humiliated. early on. It finally caught a fire a little bit later in the year, but I think, listen, it's human nature when you have a season like what they had, and which may have arguably be the greatest college football season a team has had, that you weren't going to be as good, but you got a little bit too full of yourself. Okay? Bottom line. And I told this to Coach O about a week after they won the national championship. That's going to be the biggest hurdle you face. And they got a lot of that too. Hey, guys laughing and joking on the sidelines after they're getting beat.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been unacceptable at LSU in the past. And so I think that you got a certainly different attitude toward things this year. And so it is what it is, but you got a little bit too full of yourself after an unbelievable season, and that's why I've said this many times, and I'm a true believer. Nick Saban's the greatest coach ever in college football. When you look at human nature and you kind of can sit on your laurels, he doesn't allow it. And every year he loses players, coaches, guys early for the NFL draft, assistant coaches jumping from one team to the next, and they still in the national championship hunt every year. It's unbelievable. I'm going to shed my mortal coil long before we see someone else like him in college football.
Yeah, there's a reason nobody does it. Nick Saban is the best because nobody does it like him or can do it like him. But, Mike, Ed O and LSU did, like you said, won the national championship back in 2019. We're only 2 years removed from that, and it already feels like the seat under Ed O is getting hot. How important is this season to keeping his job, not just for a long future, but in the near future, especially with all the off-the-field stuff that has swallowed the LSU campus for last year?
Yeah, that you caught in the tornado. You caught in the swirl of it. And it's so funny that this was a couple of weeks after he wins the national championship. We had, of all places, we had the governor's prayer breakfast together. And, man, they got lightning and thunder all over the place. And he looked at me and said, you would figure that's going on while we in here. But he said, you know what? I'm on the hot seat. And this is weeks after the national championship. Listen, he said he got a lot of blue bloods here at LSU that, you know, I'm not their guy. So I'm always going to be on the hot seat. And so I think he understands that very, very well, that this is a bottom line, what have you done for me business? Mm-hmm. And you better win. And not just a little bit. You better win a lot. So he gets it. He understands it. It's a critical season for him. But man, listen, Ed has been better. I've known him since we were probably 9 or 10 years old because we grew up in the same area here in Lafourche Parish. But he's always better, I think, when he's got pressure on him. He's always been that type of guy. When the pressure's on him, and he can turn it up. And so there's been a lot of things certainly at LSU that needs to change. And, you know, what's happened and what we've read and seen, that has to change here at LSU. But it's like that on a lot of campuses in college football today. It's a lot of cover-up done by players and coach. And we've seen a former coach, you know, in a lot of trouble also. So he understands the ramifications of what the job he has. And you're trying to catch the ghost out east, okay? You're always going to be compared to that program. And I think he understands it's a critical year for him, but it hasn't hurt in recruiting. They one of the top 3 or 4 teams in recruiting, and that's Ed's wheelhouse. A defensive line coach and being a great recruiter. And they got it going. So it's a critical year for him. And it's a critical opening game out on the coast in the Rose Bowl against a team you should kick their behinds. You're a much better team than UCLA. But you know what? We all said that when they played Mississippi State last year, too. Yeah, you got your butt kicked, bottom line. So it's spring break, Los Angeles. They're going to have more Cajuns and people from Louisiana and Los Angeles in the stands than they will have UCLA Bruin fans. And the good news is they're stocking up on beer and wine being sold in the Rose Bowl. The only hint I can give them is, hey, guys, y'all better store up because y'all may be out of beer and wine by the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, but, Mike, beer and wine is one thing. They don't know how to cook catfish or mud bugs properly in Southern California.
If they give them they give them an open flame deal, they can bring catfish and shrimp and from Louisiana there. Listen, them guys know how to travel. When the LSU was dominant for a while in baseball in Omaha, they had people tell us, man, we wish LSU was here every year. Man, they come cooking, and they were feeding everybody. But I do know alcohol and meat sales went up considerably in Omaha when LSU was playing there.
I'm sure it did.
No sushi eating at UCLA in the Rose Bowl.
No, there won't. Hopefully, all the liquor stores around the Rose Bowl are fully stocked with Crown Royal, because I know that's a possibility drink of choice.
Put it to you that way.
Oh, Mike, you mentioned that when you first came on about the injury for Miles Brennan, and Coach O came out recently, I think either earlier today or yesterday, talking about his potential return. Could be mid-season, could be the open date at the end of October, or do we ever see Miles Brennan in an LSU uniform again?
Well, we had his dad, Owen, on last week with us on WWL radio, and Owen is confident that Miles will return sometime this year, and he kind of gave the indication it would be late October that he thought Miles could return. And Ed's going to be cautious with it, that, hey, listen, Miles has had back-to-back some real strange injuries. So Miles and his dad said it. Miles has said it. He wants to come back to LSU and play this year, and you never know about what you don't know. Last year this team lost Miles and had to go to freshman quarterbacks. Well, guess who's behind Max Johnson? A freshman quarterback. The only guy with a scholarship at quarterback other than Max is Garrett Nussmeier. That's it. So the hope is that sometime in late October, Miles could return to LSU and possibly play. Now, again, the healing process on a 22 or 23-year-old is a lot different than a 43 and a 53-year-old man.
That is true.
You heal much quicker when you're younger. And so, I feel for him. He's a very talented guy. He's really worked hard this offseason to be the guy at LSU and then have this incident happen. So the hope is that he can return and will return sometime in October or very early November, and you just never know. Last year we saw Miles, Max Johnson, T.J. Finley at quarterback at LSU. And so that's why this team, they're trying to get Garrett Nussmeier ready. You just never know. And how quickly can Miles come back? But his dad feels very confident that by the month of October late, he will be ready to play college football again at LSU.
Mike, appreciate your time, man. We're up against the break, so we'll leave it there. And
the start of the season is just around the corner, and if you're into sports betting, Bet Online is where you should go to win some money today. Whether it's live bets during games or future bets on who you think will win the championship, Bet Online has all the latest odds, news, and information for all your online sports betting needs. Visit the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next big game or before the season starts, head on over to Bet Online and start playing today. That's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts.